Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So this is what we are going to be recreating. This beautiful top is what we are making in this video, not recreating. Okay, so let's go right into it. So here I have the fabric and I folded the fabric into two. This is for the front part of it. Okay, for the front part of it. So I'm going to mark my border line of 1/2 inch just to create a straight line from where I'm going to take my other measurement. So from that border line, I'm going to mark the length of the blouse or the top that we're making. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure the lines align together. This is the length of the blouse. You rule a line at where you want it to stop. Okay, so at the top part of it, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. The shoulder here is 16 divided by 2 and we have it at 8. So at that point, I will come down by 1 inch. This is for the shoulder drop down. Then I'm going to mark 3 inches for the width of the neckline. Okay, so from that 3 inches, I'm going to slant to meet the 1 inch shoulder drop down. I hope this is understood. Okay, so we're making progress, right? Now from the shoulder point for the neck depth, I'm going to mark 3 inches, but then I'm going to change this 3 inches because I don't want this to have opening at the back, right? It's not going to have a zipper, it's going to be a free top. If I make it 3 inches, it might not be able to accommodate the size of the head. So I'm going to drop it down a bit to about 6 inches or thereabout. Just make it something that you will not feel uncomfortable in, something that will not reveal the cleavage. Okay, so I brought it down to about 6 or 6.5, 6 inches is okay. It's going to pass the head. So from the 3 inches for the width, I'm going to draw a line to meet the 6 inches, and now it's looking like a V neckline. Okay, so that is for the front neckline. Now from the shoulder drop down, I'll mark 8 inches for the armhole depth. I will take my waist measurements, and then we've already marked the hip line, but I'm going to be covering the hip area. So the length of the blouse, I came up by 3 inches to cover it. Alright, so from the bust line, you can take get your armhole depth by coming up by 1.5, or just mark 8 inches from your armhole, from your shoulder drop down, and everything is okay. So I'll rule a straight line there, that is for my armhole. I'll divide the armhole into two. To curve the armhole, I'll go in by 0.75 and curve it from there to get the shape of the armhole. I hope this is making sense to you who is watching at this point in time. If you have any question, feel free to ask. So here I'm going to take my bust circumference, divide by 4. Remember that this top is going to be a free top, so I'm going to add 1/2 inch for ease before adding my seam allowance or stitch allowance. The same goes to the waist. I'll divide my waist circumference into 4, add 1/2 inch for ease, and then add 1 inch for seam allowance or whatever you decide to add. The same goes to the hip line. Divide the hip into 4, add 1/2 inch for ease, and then add your stitch allowance. Okay, the same measurement to the down and your curve if you want. So I'm using my ruler to make sure that it stays together. Now at the hemline, like I said before, I'm just going to curve it to give it a nice shape. You can use your free hand to curve. You can decide to leave it straight, but here I did a curve. You can see the way it is. So we're making progress, and I'll just cut everything out. Remember not to cut the CF because it's not going to be open. It's not a shirt we're making. So I placed the front on the back side to cut the back. Now the only difference is in the neckline. The front, back neckline is just going to be 1 inch down. The width is the same thing. Everything is the same thing, right? But the neck depth is going to be 1 inch. Okay, the back is not supposed to be deep, so you do the same thing. Okay, 1 inch depth for the back neckline. So I'm trying to make sure that everything aligns together. Remember that the back neckline width and the front neckline width are going to meet on the same point. So after that, I'm making a facing for the front. The facing will be used. I hope you know what a facing is, to finish up the front neckline, and also the strap that is going to be attached to the front, the neckline. We're going to use it to finish it up. Okay, this is the back facing. Sorry, this is the back facing. You can see the way it is. 3 inches from the neck width, that is where you will cut the facing, and 3 inches below the neck depth you connect them together. Okay, and then connect everything together and cut. So this is what a facing looks like. If you're a beginner here, you now know how to cut a facing, right? And this is it, so aligned. Okay, so the next step to do is to cut the sleeve. The sleeve is actually a big one, a very big one, so we're going to just use up a large amount of fabric to get a big sleeve, and the upper part is going to be gathered. So we're not just making something that will be fitted. Cut as much as you want, as much as possible, that will enable it to be gathered. And the side, everything is quite on a straight line, so we want it to have elastic at the lower part of it, at the wrist part of it. It's going to have an elastic. So this is what we have. Now we're going to use the facing to turn the necklines, but we're going to sew them separately. Join the shoulders for the main fabrics separately. Join the facing separately. Okay, so this is it. Both of them has been joined differently, but first, for a long strap, we're going to attach it first to the neckline down to where we want it to stop. This strap does not have any measurements. It is quite long to as much as you want, and then the width of it is about 8 inches on fold because I wanted it to be big. 8 inches on fold. So from the neck midpoint at the back, I'm going to mark where I want it to stop towards the front neckline. When I locate the midpoint of the strap, that is the center of it, so that the two of them will be on alignment, as in they will be equal. So once I get the mark where the sewing is going to stop, I'll stitch up the other part down to the end, and the hem part of it, the lower part of it, I'm just going to trim it to have a pointy part. Okay, I don't want it to be straight. You know how to do a rope that for a baby that is being cut towards the lower part. I don't know how else to explain it, but you can see what is being done. This is the lower part of the strap, so I'm just going to sew it together, leaving the part that is to be attached to the neckline. So after that, that is what we have here. I'm going to attach this, use my pin to hold it together to the neckline. Okay, now I don't want it to go around the neckline, but if you want it to go around the neckline, that's also okay. But I'm going to stop halfway towards, after the shoulders, towards the front neckline, right? That is where I want it to stop. But like I said before, if you want it to go around the neckline, that's also beautiful for you. So I'll just hold it. I've notched down to the part I want it to stop and then stitched the remaining part. So this part I'm sewing to the neckline, I did not stitch it. I stitched from where I want it to stop. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm saying. And then I'll use my pin to hold it together to the garment, the neckline, before using my facing on top of it. So I'm just going to get the facing, which I've joined together, and join it to the neckline. That is the strap or the rope is going to be in between, while the facing goes into the wrong side of the top. Okay, so we're facing it right side to right side. Now everything is done. I've ironed and you can see where the facing is. You can just weave it inside, iron it properly and make sure it's looking beautiful. Okay, you can see the strap sitting pretty, and of course you have to top stitch the neckline with the facing so that everything enters inside, the facing enters inside. You can also use your hemming gum to hold it down, but that may not be necessary except you just want to. So this is the strap. You can see how I've attached it. It's something that can be folded and tied however you want it. So the next thing is to close the sides and then add our sleeve. The tip of the sleeve is going to be gathered. I'll close the side now. Then attach the sleeve to the armhole. The sleeve, like I said before, it's going to have elastic at the hem part. This is the sleeve. The upper part of it is going to be gathered here. Okay, the armhole is just okay, but the sleeve armhole is bigger than the main top. So that's the reason for gathering the sleeve to achieve the design that we want. Okay, so at the hem part I'm going to use elastic to finish it up. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye. Okay guys, this is the result of what we have. I hope to see you next in my next video as we make something more beautiful. Bye.